Welcome to this short series of webinars from HemeNet, which looks at personal resilience. What is it? What helps and hinders it? And how you can build on it. We know you're generally a pretty resilient group of people, but sometimes we can feel like there are just one too many demands facing us. So we wanted to give you some ideas and support on building on the resilience you already have, which may help your mental and physical well-being. There are 4 sections here, which you can do in any order you like: purpose, confidence, support, and adaptability, and each lasts about 15 minutes long, with a short exercise that you can do either by yourself or with a friend. There's also a more detailed questionnaire which you can fill out, which gives you more individual direction on areas that you may wish to work on. So what is resilience? It's defined as the capacity to maintain personal control and robust attitudes in the face of challenging events and behaviours. Can you think of someone that you know who has a high level of resilience? What sort of resources do they use? Why might that be? We want to introduce you to the Robertson-Cooper model of resilience and the areas that we'll look at in more detail over these sessions. Firstly, our confidence in dealing with the situation. Are you the kind of person who acknowledges when you've done something really well? I realise I knew more than I thought. Or do you discount your role? It was luck. I'll never do that again. It was someone else, really. Social support. Are you good at asking others for help? It may be that you really enjoy giving help, but don't want to burden others with your problems. Whilst we are social creatures, we don't need hundreds of friends, but those we have need to be the right ones. Equal, on our side, and someone you can really trust to offload to without it going any further. We can develop stronger networks by practicing empathy and developing awareness of other people's responses to the comments that we make. Adaptability. Do you hear yourself saying should, must, and has to with things that actually aren't, on reflection, that crucial? We use these as concreting words to create some control when we're feeling anxious or stressed, but sometimes that control can make us less resilient because life just doesn't do certainty. We know from real-life examples from your practice how flexible and responsive you are. For instance, when finding yourself with a defensive, difficult patient, instinct would tell us to move away, but in reality, directly discussing their behaviour with the patient and listening to why they're behaving that way ultimately has the best outcome. Adaptability is also about how you feel about change. What is your relationship with it? Is it something that you dread, or is it something you embrace? And finally, purposefulness. You may have seen the power of endurance in a parent with a sick child, bearing difficulties that might floor others to support the right way forward for their child. What are your reasons you keep going? So there were 2 identical deserted islands in the middle of the sea, and each has enough water and food and shelter for someone to survive for a long time on that island. There's fruit in the trees and animals on the ground, fish in the sea. A ship sails past the island and hits the reef and sinks. Only 2 people survive the wreckage, and each swims to a separate island, not realising that there is another survivor. These 2 people have very different beliefs about themselves and their confidence in coping well. The person on the first island believes that they're a really unlucky person. Why do bad things always keep happening to me? They're very afraid and anxious for their future. I'll be absolutely hopeless at building a shelter. I'm going to get sick eating these strange things or get eaten by wild animals. I'm going to be really lonely and will never get rescued. So they climb into a cave and hide. The person on the second island, however, says to themselves, "How lucky am I? I'm the only person to survive. I'm going to stay calm and wait." I remember watching a film where they showed us survival skills like how to build a fire and catch fish. So I'll have a good look around this island and I might find something useful, you never know. And also a boat might come by any second and rescue me. So consider when that boat does actually come past a month later, the poor state of the survivor on the first island compared to the person on the second, even though at the start they were both given the same opportunities. So what's actually gone on here? Our beliefs influence our emotions, which then feed our subsequent thoughts. And these thoughts are what drive us to behave one way or another, to either hide or start seeking in this instance. And this behaviour and our resultant circumstances influence what we believe about ourselves. And then the circuit continues. If you find that you are in a negative cycle, you can break it by challenging the beliefs that you have. Is there any real evidence for this? Are you forgetting times, for instance, when you have been lucky? We often only remember or notice the things that happen to reinforce our beliefs. It is important to know that our thoughts are not facts. They're just our interpretation of what is happening. Are they helping or hindering you? And how different would the outcome be if you could believe something more positive about yourself? So here are our top tips for resilience. Learn how to maximise your current resilient approach. You can complete the free iResilience questionnaire shown here. After you've completed it, you'll get a report which will give you some individual tips based on your answers. Understand that our resilience is not a static thing. It can be built on if we invest a little time and become aware of our responses and just wait before responding. Learn to control what's in our sphere of influence. Worrying excessively can stop us looking for solutions. Consider letting go of any concerns that you've got no chance of ever influencing. Understand that we make better decisions when we give our physical needs time too, by eating well, sleeping and moving more. The evidence is overwhelming. Learn to manage your stress levels by becoming aware of which responses you are making, which are helpful, and which actually make it worse. There are a couple of exercises here that you might like to do before you start on one of the remaining 4 areas. Think back to a time in the past when you had to face real adversity. How did you cope? What were the most useful things that you did to help get through this? You can either think about this yourself or write down some notes or discuss it with a friend. Remember, the 4 further videos can be found on the HemeNet website when you're ready.